this idea, which you actually revealed, that there was a push for mass amnesty.
The president came out very clearly. He said no amnesty. Brooke Rollins came out and said there will be no amnesty. But there are forces in D.C. that are constantly behind the scenes that are chatterboxing right now, that are trying to push a narrative, trying to say, well, now that we passed the one big beautiful bill, what about people that have been here for 10 years or 15 years? That would be a huge mistake, Rob. We ran on mass deportations. We need 20 million deported, and I have confidence the president's going to do it.
That was the last time we spoke to Charlie Kirk on this show, and he warned us of a group of GOP lawmakers in Washington pushing mass amnesty for illegal aliens. Less than a year after that, that was last July, the Dignity Act is gaining traction in Congress. Florida Congresswoman Maria Salazar co-sponsoring, 19 other Republicans, including Mike Lawler, publicly supporting it. It gives a 7-year legal status for those who came in before Biden opened the floodgates, providing permanent legal status to dreamers, allowing illegal aliens deported by Trump since 2017 to return to the United States. Illegals can apply for their dignity status from their home country and then return to the U.S. The law would also staple green cards to diplomas, meaning any foreign national who graduates can be put on a path to citizenship. One very bizarre part of this, it forgives student loans for attorneys working with illegal aliens. That's your tax money right there. Mark Morgan, former acting CBP Commissioner, joins us now. Mark Krikorian, Executive Director at the Center for Immigration Studies. Good to have you both here. Mark Morgan, your thoughts on this bill as it stands right now?
Rob, first of all, let's be straight. This bill is an amnesty bill. And any politician on Capitol Hill that's trying to sell it that it's anything but that, they're not being honest with the American people. They're being disingenuous. Because let's break this down. Here's what the bill does. It provides, and this is a legal term of art, it provides legal status to millions and millions of individuals that are in the country illegally. That's the equivalent of a government-granted parole for those individuals. I really would like these politicians to look up the Webster's Dictionary definition of amnesty, because that's exactly it. It goes even further. It significantly reduces enforcement operations. It gives a 2-year ban on deportation for millions of illegal aliens. Rather than close loopholes in the immigration system, it actually codifies them, and it gives waivers for certain criminal offenses. Rob, right now, rather than talking about a bill that puts a pause on deportations, what we should be talking about is what Charlie did, is mass deportations. Right. That's what the president ran on. That's what he promised, and that's what we should be talking about.
Mark Krikorian, it seems like the White House got a little touchy with immigration there when they moved Homan into Minneapolis, and it seemed like maybe they had lost the footing a bit. What do you think of that, and what do you think of the bill?
Well, I think the people pushing this, Republicans and Democrats, Congresswoman Salazar is the main face behind it. She's been pushing this bill for years.
Yeah.
I think they see this as, they saw the president's stumble in Minneapolis as an opportunity to pounce. Now, the idea that Tom Homan is somehow a softie on immigration is obviously a joke.
Yeah.
But I think that's what they're thinking here, that this is an opportunity for them to, get back in the fray. And you look at the provisions of the bill, this is the same thing the Gang of Eight pushed back in the 2013-14, the same thing that George W. Bush and Ted Kennedy and John McCain tried to push 20 years ago now. It's just the same warmed over thing. It's not going anywhere. I think there are two reasons they're doing this. One, they want to show donors that they're doing something. They can't get the bill passed. They know it's a no-hoper, but this is going to keep the checks coming. The other thing is, I think they want to dissuade people, illegal immigrants, from leaving. Hold out an amnesty possibility as a way of dissuading people from self-deporting.
That's interesting. I call these Republicans kind of the Chamber of Commerce Republicans, Mark Morgan, because it's, they think on the better half of big business that wants the cheap labor, loves the open border, has loved it for decades in this country. But what do you say to, Republicans that are pushing this, that say, when Democrats get in, and they're going to get power, and it's going to happen at some point, they're going to break the filibuster, and they are going to give all of them citizenship. They're going to do something wild like that. And this is probably the best chance we have of doing something now.
I completely agree. You look at some of these politicians that have signed on to this bill, when they've been pressed hard by certain folks in the media, they've actually capitulated to that. They've actually been honest, say that's ultimately what's going to happen, especially if you get a Democratic administration and the White House. That's exactly what's going to happen. Part of this bill gives great latitude to the leadership of DHS to give legal status. And again, after that 7-year status program, that's what they're talking about, that a green card, once you get a green card, then you're on the pathway to citizenship if you have the right people into the White House. That's exactly what's going to happen. And look, my brother Mark, he's absolutely correct. You're going to see, because of this rhetoric, you're going to see self-deportation numbers start to plummet because they're going to be holding on to hope that they're going to be allowed to stay. This is the last thing that we should be doing, especially coming from a conservative Congress.
Mark Krikorian, if we can't deport, there's what, 20 million in the country right now. We're not going to get them all out by the end of this term. If Republicans lose power in 2028, you know, is this bill potentially a better option than doing nothing until 2028?
No, again, that's the argument for 20 years they've been pushing. And the fact is, if the scenario you're talking about happens and the Democrats take over the White House and Congress, they'll just rip out any of the limitations, supposedly, that are in this bill anyway. Yeah. So, but to your point about you can't, you know, basically do retail deportations of millions of people. That's actually true because there's two groups of illegal aliens in a sense. Public safety threats, ICE deports them. Regular people self-deport. I gotta leave it there based on time. Mark Krikorian, Mark Morgan, Marks, good to see you guys. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. Thank you. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt Tonight on Newsmax.